Say, kids, what time is it?
The future is coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on.
And today we be in Boulder Creek and the beautiful fall weather that has hit us. So nice.
Yeah, we're feeling pretty optimistic.
Yeah.
We had a lovely little birthday dinner for Al last night, and everybody was happy and jovial. And we seem to be out of phase with a lot of people in our world because we're looking forward optimistically as all of the news presents itself, while everybody else is pretty much ready for the world to become shredded.
It's a disaster. It's 50-50 in the polls. Oh, no.
No, but I am realizing that we are getting the world that we all signed up for, that we wished for. And
Yeah, you think so?
I think so. I think that the Think Different generation was very much about creating knowledge navigators and changing the way that the world works so it looked more like the future. And
So
this
we asked
is
for it, we got it.
Evolving. It's not familiar, so a lot of people are afraid because the old ways don't work.
Yeah, well, we're here to help to explore how it's changing and what the new ways might be here. And to help us with that, we have Bobby Wilder on the line from San Francisco.
Yes.
Bobby, welcome back to the
Bobby.
show. Yeah.
Yes, I'm glad to be here. Wow, with you.
Yeah, so you agree with
Happy
Sunny-
happy
Turn on
birthday.
your
Thank you.
screen,
Thank
Bobby.
you.
We're just looking at your printed name. I want to see your face, buddy.
Yeah, I think we're in a chaotic times, and I think at the same time, it's kind of exciting. Some of us were born to be here for this.
Yeah.
It's like learning how to surf the wave, really. You know, and
I totally agree. The astrologer is saying, Michael Mercury is saying that we are in the age of Aquarius, not the dawn of Aquarius. Like,
Oh, yeah.
remember the song in the
Gabby will tell
60s.
us about that when she arrives.
it's like we're not coming from somewhere else. This is us.
Yes. And then all these developments that are happening. And later on the 18th, all the secret agencies that work for the government, the military and all that, they have to divulge all their UFO information.
All of it?
All that they know.
Yeah, all that they want us to know.
Yeah.
The
And
skeptics
so-
would say.
Recording in progress.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it was in progress before, and while I checked it, I turned it off. So
This is future.
that's how unsure I am at the navigation of that particular
you'll-
stream.
Well, you won't do that again, will you?
No, I've learned my
Hey,
lesson.
so you're better. You're better already.
No, only new mistakes, not the old ones
Well,
over and
if
over.
we wanted to really reflect back, you could say well, it was me feeling like maybe it wasn't working. Right?
and manifesting
So I
it with the
manifesting
power
it.
of your will.
Yeah, so it could be my fault.
Well, when in doubt,
Blame Albot.
it's worked for us so far. We're still here.
I am rather fond of the virtual entities. I do have two segments today of the virtual entities presenting stories for us. Larry and Mary, you know.
Oh, yes, our favorite new AI hosts,
I
co-hosts.
I had them do a deep dive in a topic I was kind of curious about.
Oh,
Thanks to Jeffrey, sent to me on cryptozoology, cryptoterrestrials. And, you know, I got the AIs to investigate the cryptoterrestrials.
Cryptoterrestrials. Oh, do tell. Are we going to
Yeah.
do that right now?
No, we're not going to do that right now. Soon, though. Soon.
Okay.
Soon. But it's all about how, you know, we're just talking about, Bobby was just saying on the 18th, a lot of stuff is going to be revealed. One of the hypotheses about Revelation is that it might not be from outer space at all. That the extraterrestrials might actually be intraterrestrials, or in
Like
this
maybe
case,
they're coming from South America?
cryptoterrestrials.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Not those kind
different,
of aliens.
different, not those aliens.
Different ideas. Yeah, not them, not those aliens. Those other ones, you know, the ones from here, you know. And what I can figure is that the last ice age, most of humanity came out into the sunshine, onto the surface. But some didn't. Some became, as H.G. Wells would call them, Morlocks, and stayed underground and mutated into a different kind of human. Human nonetheless, but very different from us. And because they continued their civilization in there, they continued to evolve and are maybe years ahead of us in terms of their evolution. And as such, they could hide from us. They can be invisible to us. Kind of like in Star Trek, where if you're studying a civilization and considering them to be admissible into the Federation, then you kind of watch them for a while to see where they're at. it would be on that level where these, a little bit of advancement would make us invisible. Well, them invisible to us.
Yes. Right, just a little out of phase with our frequency.
Yeah, exactly. And who
But
knows?
still here.
It could be a technology that
Kinda like
we
those-
already have.
Those Star
possibly,
Trek creatures. Remember the Star Trek creatures that were moving like hummingbirds? They were so fast that all of the people in our timeline looked like they were statues standing still.
Yeah. Right. Time. Different time. That's probably how hummingbirds see us.
I was looking at some old video that was like 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I saw something that came into the picture and moved. I was calculating, it wasn't an insect or something, but it was this kind of like a little fairy thing that moved in the camera in 3 frames. And it moved so much that I thought it must be doing hundreds of miles an hour. and so Luis Escandano or something. Anyway, there's a guy that does these videos and he slows them down and he sees these objects that wiggle and they're traveling at supersonic speed.
Oh, yes.
Al caught one of those.
Rods.
Rods, exactly, the rods.
Rods, yes.
Have you seen any of those on your
Rods.
videos?
Sure. Yeah, we have.
You have.
So we have one of our classics of our in the monoliths in England. What's that one, Al? The where we're on top of the
Rods.
Yes, I haven't thought of this one in a while, but there's a very famous monolith in England, and Bonnie and I were enjoying ourselves merrily on the top of it.
Merrily, yes.
We did a little yoga move, and the little rod flew by overhead.
No kidding.
Right. Yeah, I remember that now. It looked like a meteor.
Right.
Yeah, and the hummingbirds and other birds that are very highly active, they see these things, but we don't. They move through our airspace so quickly that our brains can't even capture them. But video does.
Signed up to do this slow.
Different frequencies than us. We're slicing space-time a little differently with our
Right.
species.
Yeah, we're trying to freeze it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that we slice it in a very certain way, and that's our species' perception of universe, and it's very different for all the other creatures.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
It doesn't look like this to them.
Just fits our senses.
Yeah, and so they evolve a little differently with different inputs of information and a different ecosystem. But it's all connected. But it's
And other beings could be vibrating at a higher frequency than we are.
be right here,
now.
and we'll not even know them. Yeah.
And we don't even know they're next to us,
I know that can be embarrassing.
Well, I mean, what about our local star? Would you say the sun is vibrating at frequencies that are out of our range? Probably.
Yeah, and we have eyes, and we think, whatever we can see, that's all you can believe in. But
That's what's real.
Yeah, that's what's real.
Yeah, which is just a slice of reality. So it's hard to remember that when you're
Defending
experiencing
your authenticity.
a sixth sense, multisensory,
It's
experience
true.
here.
I
It's,
believe it. You should believe it too.
This is real.
Yeah.
So I got the AIs to delve into this a little bit, and they do a 5-minute piece on cryptoterrestrials for us.
Oh, I'm ready. Let's hear it.
You want to hear it now?
I'm
Yeah.
ready. Yeah, we were talking about
yeah.
it. Why wait?
Sure. Okay, here we go. This is Larry and Mary. I gave them a bunch of stuff on cryptos, and this is what they have to tell us about it.
Okay, so ready for a deep dive that'll make you see the whole alien thing a little differently? We're talking extraterrestrial life. But forget spaceships and distant galaxies.
Yeah, we're going underground, literally.
We're exploring the idea that we might not be alone right here on Earth.
The cryptoterrestrial hypothesis.
The CTH.
Exactly.
So instead of searching the stars for ET, what if we've got neighbors right under our noses? We're diving into Mac Tawney's book, The Cryptoterrestrials.
He argues these beings aren't visitors, but natives.
They've been here all along.
And get this. They've mastered camouflage and technology that makes them virtually undetectable.
So not just hiding in caves, we're talking advanced tech, cloaking devices, that kind of thing.
Think about all those UFO sightings. Tani suggests those could be deliberate, a smokescreen to keep us looking up while they're down here.
A cosmic magic trick. Now that's just playing mind games.
I like
but
that.
But why all the secrecy? If they're so advanced, why not just walk up and say hi?
Well, to understand it, we need to look deeper into folklore, into mythology, at stories that have been passed down for centuries.
Okay, so we're talking about like fairies and gnomes and creatures hiding in the shadows.
It's about looking for patterns, finding connections between those ancient tales and what we think we know about aliens today.
All right, I'm intrigued. Lead the way. So how do these, like you said, fairies and gnomes, how do they connect to, aliens and UFOs and all that?
Well, it's like this, Tawny's, he points out all these stories, right, about these little people, and they often have, like, advanced tech or unusual powers.
Okay, I'm seeing where you're going with this, like those classic alien descriptions.
Exactly. Big eyes, focused on genetics, messing with people's perception of time.
Yeah, those abduction stories where people feel like time's just gone missing.
It's like these themes, they just keep popping up across cultures, across centuries.
So you're saying there might be something to these old stories, something we've been overlooking.
It's a possibility. But it still leaves us with a pretty big question. Why? Why all the secrecy?
Right, like if they're so advanced, why not just come out and say, hey, what's the end game?
Well, Tawny suggests a few things. One is that it would just be too much for us. Like our societies, everything we thought we knew.
Would just fall apart.
Exactly. Panic, chaos, the whole shebang.
So they're protecting us from the truth?
Maybe. Or maybe it's more complicated than that. They could be studying us, fascinated by how we evolved, our consciousness.
You mean like we're the interesting ones?
We might be something totally unique, something they need.
Okay, so we're not just lab rats. We're like prize-winning lab rats.
And if they are studying us, it makes you wonder, what do they see? What are they learning?
And what does it mean for us? But if they're trying to stay hidden, why let us see anything at all? Why all the UFO sightings, the weird lights, the stories?
Well, what if those aren't mistakes?
Yeah.
What if it's not about hiding completely, but about controlling what we see?
So like they're letting us see just enough to keep us guessing?
It's like they're dripping out these little bits of information, keeping us distracted while they do their thing.
Okay, so a cosmic magic show, but for what purpose?
Maybe it's about getting us ready.
Ready? Yeah. You mean for them to finally reveal themselves? Like, surprise, we've been here all along.
Think about it. If they just showed up one day out of the blue, it would be chaos.
Yeah.
Right? But if they slowly get us used to the idea that we're not alone.
A soft landing instead of a crash.
Exactly. And Tawny suggests something else really interesting. He says this whole back and forth, us and them, it could be shaping both of our species.
Wait, you're saying we're influencing them too, even if we don't even know they're there?
It's like a two-way street. We react to their presence, we tell stories, we research, and they, in turn, react to us.
A cosmic feedback loop. So where does it all end? What's the final act in this play?
That's the big question Tawny's leaves us with. He says this whole idea, this CTH, it's not just about the past, it's about our future. Like, what if we're on the edge of something huge? A total shift in how we see ourselves, how we understand the universe.
So instead of being afraid, we should be excited about the possibility of, like, real contact.
It makes you rethink everything, doesn't it? Our place in the universe, maybe we're not at the top of the food chain, even on our own planet.
As a humbling thought.
But it's also exciting because it means there's so much more to learn.
I think the AIs
about
are
them,
programming
about ourselves,
us.
about everything.
So next time you see something strange in the sky or hear a story that sounds too crazy to be true,
don't dismiss it.
Keep an open mind. The truth might be closer than you think.
And a lot stranger.
Big thanks to our expert for taking us down the rabbit hole with the Cryptoterrestrials. That was a wild ride.
Anytime.
And to all of you listening, keep looking up at the stars, but don't forget to look around you every once in a while. You never know what you might find. Until next time, keep exploring.
There you go. That's Larry and Mary, our AIs, giving us a report on the Cryptoterrestrials.
But I have to say, when I listen to Larry and Mary, I suspect an agenda.
Yeah?
They
Well, you
are
think they got a little agenda?
They're up there
What
with
did you notice?
the quality propagandists, that they have a message for us to get ready, to be humble, to expect the unexpected, to keep an open mind, and to realize that it's not necessarily what we already understand.
And just wait till our AIs meet their AIs. And we're going to put some fun now, as Steve Martin might say. So he thinks we should go to a break for a moment.
Okay. I can do that.
Come back with some other data. By the way, that one thing, that was from Mactonis's book, The Cryptoterrestrials, a lot of the source material for that conversation.
Recommended by one of our favorite non-extraterrestrials, Jay Anderson
That's right.
So,
The intergalactic emissaries
that's
sent that to us.
Keeping us on
One of them, anyway.
On the crest of what we are prepared to understand. The future evolving while we watch.
We'll be back shortly.
BRB. Here you go.
For a Listen Local First celebration of our new studio, Thursday the 24th from 5 to 7. Come meet, mix, and mingle as we stream live radio and TV, enjoy eats and treats, and make lots of new friends. It's our Listen Local First open house, Thursday the 24th from 5 to 7 at 325 Soquel Avenue. Listen Local First on SantaCruzVoice.com.
When you need help managing your estate, call on the Angel.
Hello, I am Attorney Angel Hess, and I am ready to help. Whether you need a will or a trust, a guardianship or a conservatorship, or if you are managing the financial affairs of a loved one, I will help you with over 7 years' experience working in estate planning and probate fields.
When you need help, call on the Angel, Attorney Angel L. Hess at santacruzlegal.net.
The Hook is California's first ever cannabis outlet. 100% locally owned and operated, we're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. We believe that everyone should have access to fairly priced cannabis, so we work hard to get it to you for 30 to 50% less than the other guys. If you're 21 or older with a valid ID, visit us in Capitola or in Watsonville today. We're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. Check out our website, hookoutlet.com, for deals and stay groovy.
You need a clean, pleasant space to conduct business, but you don't want the burden of a long, expensive lease. Your solution is Satellite Co-working and Digital Media Studio on Soquel Avenue. Satellite offers private offices, meeting and conference rooms, even co-working by the hour, day, week, or month. Schedule a tour at satellitecoworking.com. Mention Santa Cruz Voice for 20% off your first reservation.
Hi, folks. How many of you out there love to garden? Wouldn't it be nice to grow some of your own food? Or maybe a flower garden would brighten your day. All you need is the Knox Garden Box, a heavily constructed, portable, elevated garden on legs that can virtually change the way you've gardened in the past. The Knox Garden Box can be set up anywhere. Yes, you can place it right on concrete at knoxgardenbox.com. That's KNOX, gardenbox.com.
All right, here we are.
A couple of cool new inventions this week. Something from the Swedes. It looks like a, you know what it looks like? It kind of looks like one of those Civil War ironclad ships, only a little bit longer, and instead of iron on the surface, it's covered in solar panels going along, and it's yellow instead of black, and it's got little sail-type wind generators.
Are you trying to get people to guess what it is you're describing?
It's a hybrid energy raft, okay? It's like a small boat, 38 meters long. I guess that's not that small, but 38 meters is 100 feet. And it's a hybrid energy raft that can power 1,000 homes a day. And it taps wave action, it taps wind action, and it taps solar action all at once.
I think this is the new interesting ecotech where they take these underperforming technologies like solar, where people put all this money into it and then what they get back hardly seems worth the investment. But if you combine it with other technologies that fill in the gaps, then it becomes more bang for the buck. So this is a hybrid of solar, wind, and wave.
In one vessel.
Yeah, in one vessel that can be parked out in a harbor or in a cove and anchored like boats. In fact, it's an anchor that holds this thing, and there's a piston that gets driven by the wave power to generate some electricity, and there's solar that collects the sun on a sunny day, and there are these stationary wind generators that have that kind of three blades that are just cycling around a center blade vertically. So like the pinwheel is down on the bottom, and then these vertical wings are circling around a pole.
Pretty cool little invention, the Nova Ocean Wave Power Plant.
Yeah.
A 38-meter-long rectangular raft.
Yeah, I'd want one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wonder if you could just rent a place in a yacht harbor and just plant it there and generate power for the whole place.
Sure.
And the neighborhood.
Yeah.
People would like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. Any little beach town could probably benefit by having one of these.
Yeah, I guess it helps to be out in the waves, though, to catch the wave action. And the wave action's free. I mean, you watch the ocean here. That's a lot of power in every wave.
Yeah.
I hate to imagine if we could actually harness every wave, we'd have tons of power, which we...
Well, and unlike the electricity that's generated, say, from Niagara Falls, which is very erosive, because all that water being stopped is kind of changing the way that the natural erosion happens, this might not be so erosive. It might not affect the waves in the water that much, even though it's taking advantage of them.
Well, it says the wave plant operator is like a garden pump. As the raft rises in the water is pumped up and flows at high speeds into what's called a Pelton turbine, and that generates electricity. There's one comment on the previous story before we continue to evolve this new approach to energy. Gregory had said, get ready for us to end up on the dinner platter. Well, and I guess that's...
We would be the dessert.
It's if humans aren't at the top of the food chain anymore, then...
Well, if they're extra dimensional, they're
what
not
dinner
interested
platter are
in
we on?
eating. They don't care about our animal body. They might care about our emotions. They might be generating all of the angst and turmoil on the media channels. Yeah. That might be a little more their appetite.
It's just playing off the old fear.
Divide and conquer. Make some money on the way.
Yeah, right. Personally, I think that any sentience more advanced than us is not going to eat us.
Right. It probably has been waiting for us to realize that they're watching us. Right?
Yeah,
we're in the fishbowl. And they're going, oh, look at those cute fish.
Either that or we've been being eaten for a long time and all those missing people. Well, I never forget about that. Yeah, you never know. But I don't think so. I don't think it works that way. That's the good news.
You hope.
I hope.
No. They haven't come for you yet.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
I guess that's optimistic as far as we know.
Anyway, so back to wave power. Wave plus sun plus wind.
Right.
So
Triple
it's the
whammy.
hybridization of energy systems.
Works in more weather.
Yeah.
It works in cloudy weather, works in windy weather.
It reminds me of Bjorn Anderson's zero energy homes back in the 1980s. And the idea was that your house, wherever you are, is not just the land that it's on, but it's also the air that is around you and the wind that's part of your property, part of your space, and it's the solar. All of these things are your space. And so why not have a home that takes advantage of all these energy sources that are hitting your space every day anyway?
Yeah.
Why not play with it more? So that idea was a little ahead of its time, but today hybridization of energy sources makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've often thought that we should have a wind generator up here. But
Except we don't have enough wind.
I know. That's a slight problem with the Santa Cruz Mountains. Not much wind. When there is wind,
a lot of trees.
There's a lot of it. But when there's none, there's none.
I don't know. Is there such a thing as a tree generator for power? We have a lot of trees.
Yeah. The trees are waving back and forth in the wind. If you had a system of collecting that motion of the trees moving in the wind, that would be an energy generator. Maybe elastic bands that collect energy. Energies surround us all the time. As Tesla said, we're living in a sea of energy. Just think about it, and you'll see another way in which energy is around us.
Billy Sunshine says that wave action is used to desalinate. So we're living in a sea of salt.
Well, yeah, that's a big controversy in the Santa Cruz area is the whole salinization idea. And if we're having a shortage of fresh water, we've got tons of seawater. Why don't we just have a decent salinization plant? And that technology has evolved a lot over the last 10 years. It's gotten much more portable and more energy efficient and all the things that people were finding wrong with it in the past. It was also difficult to clean the filters for those things. It's tons of salt that you're pulling out of the ocean. What do you do with it all? Where does it collect? How do you deal with the byproducts of desalinization plants? Questions like that were looked at, and it was rejected here because it was just too untenable. But maybe now, 10 years later, that we have a better technology for all of this can happen. I think that's where their Dr. Jonathan Trent's work comes in, a local scientist. That,
he sees everything as a resource, and we know we need more electricity, but how do we be efficient about collecting it and improve on the systems we're already using?
For sure, yeah. So with that in mind, we have an interesting link on this group called the Swedish energy firm.
Novi Ocean.
Innovative Hybrid Energy Converter. It's a little nerdy. HEC, right. It's like
Hybrid Energy Converter.
I guess HVAC is not that sexy for air conditioning and ventilation.
Well,
either,
I'm sure it's just a bad translation. I mean,
Yeah.
Swedish isn't exactly poetry when you translate it.
Our new invention, it's called a HIC.
No, a heck.
Heck is great. All you need is heck.
There you go. Heck will
Our
solve your
hybrid
problems.
energy converter.
And you can make fun of it while you're working on it.
And look, it's your energy anyway. It's hitting your property. It's hitting your town. It's yours. Take it. Use it. But don't abuse it.
But you do have to be close to water. And in fact, what they said about this solution, they've been testing it in Sweden, and they got a whole bunch of grant money to take it to the next level, but they don't really have enough waves. The design really needs kind of ocean waves
We need one
outside
here,
of the continents.
right? We need one out here.
Yeah.
Nova Ocean. So
the fjords aren't wavy enough to really take full advantage.
yeah, nice video of it too.
Yeah.
Check it out. Sustainable power.
Yeah. And where do people check it out, Dr. Future? Where are these links?
drfutureshow.com/links. And yes, we also are now on Podbean, thanks to Santa Cruz Voice.
Santa Cruz Voice has developed an archive system. We're so proud of our team. We got our last 25 archives up, so anybody who wants to check out our 2024 shows can subscribe to the podcast on Santa Cruz Voice and get them as soon as they're posted or anytime after that.
On Santa Cruz site now, more and more of the shows that you know and love are available in terms of archiving.
Yeah, you go to www.santacruzvoice.com and you'll see there's a button that says current shows, and you can click on the current shows. They'll give you a list of all the amazing programs that you can listen to on Santa Cruz Voice. And one of those, of course, is Future Now. And as soon as you click on that, you'll go to an archive of all our shows on Santa Cruz Voice. Take that in, people.
Okay.
It's getting better all the time.
One of the other cool energy things is world's first 4-ton battery electric planes. Electric planes.
4-ton battery on a plane, huh? That's a
4
lot
ton.
of passengers.
That's not that much.
It is. It's like 20
4
people.
tons,
Or more. It's like 25 people if they're not all 200-pounders. That's a lot of people.
Well, the first planes, all electric planes, this is to be the minimum, right? They'll start at about 287 miles an hour or 250 knots cruise speed.
That's how fast they'll fly? That's the speed, huh?
That's the speed, which isn't bad, right? That's pretty good. 200. That's very comparable to turbine engines.
I think it's kind of slow for a flying vehicle.
Well, for
I
a
recall that the Mahler
787
vehicle,
or something like that.
No,
No,
but
these are like airplanes. These are.
I just want to give you a comparison, which is when we were covering Mahler craft, his prototype was slated to be going about between 300 and 400 miles an hour. So it's a little slower than that. That's all I'm saying. It's slow compared to a lot of things that are flying in the air for passengers.
500 would be fast.
Yeah.
Right? 500 is more what a 787 might do. So these little planes, they're consider them commuter aircraft, right? And they'll be operating out of Miami, Los Angeles, San Juan, Puerto Rico. It's a company called Urban Link, and the name of the program is called Alice. Alice, the first electric planes in this plan, Urban Link. Miami, LA, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
And they're going to be flying Alice, huh?
Yeah, they've got orders of $5 billion already.
Right.
This is a new era of sustainable air travel.
9-seat commercial plane.
Right.
So it's, it's a private jet.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
The plane is 57 feet long, and it's powered by 4 tons of batteries.
But it only takes a half hour to charge them on a sunny day.
That's right. A massive amount of charge.
And what if it's not sunny? You can't really reserve your seat, huh? You have to hope for sunshine.
Well, I don't think it has solar panels on the wings or anything. I don't think it's going to
Well,
do
I
that.
hope that the batteries can be swapped out, because that's the only way you could have it be reliable.
Swapped out batteries? I don't know. That's a radical idea. Hey, look, we have a visitor.
We've
hey,
got
look.
a live in the studio
Someone's
guest.
in the house.
Hi
Hey, grab a
there.
seat.
Grab a seat.
Take
Grab a
the
seat.
star stool right there.
Yeah.
Hello, Gabby.
Hello.
Gabrielle.
All right, you hear yourself? Get that
One of our
microphone
regular
closer.
irregulars.
And this is future.
How's the volume level in those headphones?
It's good.
All right.
All right. Gabby's one of our regular contributors here from New Jersey.
That's right. In the house.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just
Hi.
came up to the studio, visiting her friends in California.
Yeah.
They left
Just flew
Which
in.
friends? Who am I visiting?
Who are we visiting now?
Do I have
The likes of us,
Do
I
I
might
have
say.
friends? You guys are more like family, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Way
ones
beyond.
the ones you choose.
That's true.
Not the ones you're
Yeah, it's-
karmically.
Yeah, this is some kind of other choice thing, right? It's some kind of, what was it? Kurt Vonnegut would call it harass.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
certain people you like to be with for some reason, and we're starting to figure out the details of that too. You know?
Yeah, we grok each other.
We mirror each other.
Yes.
Yes. In some very positive way that we would like to. I guess it's like applauding your ego in a way. Oh, look, I found myself. Yeah, what a wonderful thing.
Now what?
You never make new old friends. The roots are deep.
Son was talking about earlier that for a lot of people right now, especially with the elections coming up, it's getting more chaotic in the world. But for us, it seems to be more fun. And we're trying to figure this out.
Well, we're still cheerful despite what everyone believes. And I'm noticing a lot of people are giving me positive feedback just because they haven't seen anybody smile in a long time, you know?
So where are you with this?
Hey, at least I can do.
Where am I? I guess I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that no matter what is happening that seems terrible or even seems really amazing, that everything kind of levels out, and being in true Libra form, that everything balances, that we have our swings here and there. We go from one extreme to the other, but that eventually it all washes out.
Yeah, so
There you go.
So we might be
All
going through the rapids, but we always come out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you don't. And
In which case,
and what are you going to do about that?
You might be rescued. You might not.
You
What's
might
the
be
point?
part of a bigger balance.
What's the point in worrying anyway? You know, any way you look at it, what does that bring? No smiles. That's what it brings.
Well, maybe
You
worry.
might anticipate a few things and avoid them.
Or how about people who are just all smiles all the time?
Oh, well,
You have
that's
to-
somehow
so-
not satisfying.
You mean the ones that don't have dementia?
That's funny. Yeah.
Well, maybe a little worrying leads to a lot of smiling.
Yeah, if you're truly grateful, if you're able to, I think we've talked about this in the past, and I know I've talked about it with Ben Fuchs, with Pharmacist Ben.
Yeah, good old Pharmacist Ben.
He and I have some great conversations, but I was saying that I'm grateful for the trauma, because it's the trauma that really makes you appreciate and be grateful for every day that you wake up. That's the truth. Whether or not you're existing in pain that day or not, the mere opportunity to see the sunrise every day is a blessing.
Yeah, count your blessings, kind of.
Yeah, you might not have this body or the opportunity to be miserable at all.
Yeah, so-
Imagine not even having the opportunity to be miserable.
Oh, no. What kind of world would that be?
Well, you wouldn't worry about smiling or anything, for that matter. Yeah.
Yeah, you would just be waiting for the pain to end in whatever way that might be. And that's kind of silly. That's just as bad as a family. I see this all the time. A family is if they're about to go on a family vacation.
Yeah.
And somebody, a mother, father, grandparents, they say, I can't wait to start making memories.
Yeah.
That just, I have to tell you, along with like little kids picking their noses, that's probably my biggest pet peeve.
They haven't started, or they don't realize they're already making memories.
Yeah,
they're
like,
busy forgetting.
You're like waiting for something to happen and will never actually be in the moment appreciating it. You want to take a picture.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, I can't wait to take pictures to make memories so we can look back on the pictures. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, what about?
It's like you just want to remember the special moments.
Right, instead of actually living in them.
Yeah.
Many people have accused Al of doing that, like because he is such a cameraman.
Well, the idea ultimately is that every moment is special and unique. Every moment is unique and unqualifiably different and special.
Well, every moment that you exist in the moment,
Yeah.
that's actually the only thing you can genuinely account for as being real. We look to the past and we know that we had these experiences or that things happened, but they're stories.
So how can this help us in dealing with the fact that almost all media could be fake at this point?
Well, that's difficult because I think that we're deliberately being manipulated that way so that we are questioning whether or not everything is real or that nothing is real. That makes us manipulatable because we don't believe anything. So it just makes us these zombies in the world, where we're just walking around, oh, nothing is real anyway, and therefore nothing matters.
So you can do all kinds of unspeakable things and not have any
and nothing matters, right?
conscience about it.
So, speaking of things mattering or being real or whatever, we have a question from one of our folks out here if we're going to do some space news. And that just brings me to that there's some real stuff that has happened this week.
This week is amazing.
Had some really great space stuff. Yeah. The great grabber in the sky.
That's right. That was the chopsticks.
Mechazilla.
The chopsticks. If you get a chance to see the chopstick landing, and I don't see how you can avoid it. It's on all the mainstream news. It was an amazing
historic
chapter.
Yeah.
Amazing chapter in our ability to expand our horizons.
Yeah.
It was something that the company, SpaceX, was able to do that no one thought really could succeed for a long time.
Well, and it was billed as being the largest thing that humanity has ever launched into space, first of all. So it's the largest thing that is successfully flying up there. And it has been caught for the very first time on this technology developed to do that has never been tested before. So it was a huge day in the history of space travel.
Yeah.
It was probably as big as the first time that reusable rocket landed on its own landing pad.
Right.
Yeah. It's fascinating to watch, too, because the way it comes down, it was coming to the side of the chopsticks, and it slowly went closer, but the program was designed so that if something went wrong at the last minute, it would throw itself away from the platform and not destroy the lander.
Yeah, it would save the landing pad.
Wow.
So it was very
gingerly
gingerly
repair
approaching
that
the chopsticks, and then when it knew everything was A-OK, it went into the chopsticks embrace.
What was cool is that it was leaning toward the one side, like to the left, so the other chopstick kind of came in to account for the imperfect center.
Yeah, that was amazing to watch. That was
it was adaptable.
Yeah, so highly recommended. Check that out, man. That was a historic moment in our timeline for all of us, and it was real. Right? Speaking of the previous conversation,
it was real.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, that's one thing that that impresses us.
But now we're telling a story about it.
Yes,
right.
And it's still real, though, right?
I don't know.
It could not be at this point. It could be a game of telephone.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our impression of the event. Watch it yourself, I say. You decide. But we recommend it. We liked it. Also, you know what I really liked it perhaps almost as much was the fact that they knew exactly where it was going to land in the Indian Ocean. This is the Starship itself, Starship 5. They had buoys there, not just to mark where it was coming down, but live cameras on it. So you could watch it land in the water. So you were there. It was taking the idea of the whole ship's journey and bringing it right into your life in real time, including the landing in the water. And the whole thing just looked perfect. I'm sure there were things that probably went wrong, things burnt up and things. But overall, they were very successful. So that was...
Yeah, it was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, so
it's reusable. It's supposed to be able to be, in the future, used within an hour.
Right.
That booster, and that's amazing.
Well, yeah, I think the plan is that there'll be regular missions to the moon and Mars, and they'll be, like today at bus stations, they'll be taken off every hour or two.
Right.
And they'll probably be all over the world as it evolves, unless the aliens give us anti-gravity or something that would short-circuit that entire timeline.
Do you think our future is going to have a very crowded airspace and less crowded ground space?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But the airspace is going to be completely packetized. It'll be flowing like information, and humans won't have to deal with it. It'll be invisible to you.
What if we're on air taxi?
Well, you just read your book and don't...
Air taxi.
Yeah.
Just read the book.
You're not going to...
You remember The Fifth Element, that movie?
Love that.
Yeah.
It's
a great movie.
Yeah.
That, like Blade Runner, had drivers, right? And we're talking no drivers.
Right, driverless.
And that brings up another big event that I wanted to talk about this week, was the We Robot event.
On the Warner
Thursday
Brothers
night.
backlot.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing worth watching. It's a piece on YouTube that says the entire hour-and-a-half event in 7 minutes. So check that out. But I also have some fun with this because it was about robots and it was about transportation and packetizing transportation. I asked the robots, our Larry and Mary, our AIs, to do a little piece on that for us.
Oh.
I think maybe it's
About
time
to
to
call
put that
them up
right?
again now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's just put them in here. Their summary of the We Robot event and the release of the Cyber Cab. Now, we can pause this at any point and comment on it. But here's what Larry and Mary have to say about that.
All right, everyone, let's dive right in. Tesla's Cybercab event, huh? Gotta admit, the buzz was real with this one. Robots slinging drinks, driverless cars cruising through Hollywood. I mean, come on. Sounds like a sci-fi flick, right?
Definitely grabbed everyone's attention.
Yeah, but we're here to go a little deeper, yeah.
That's them.
peek
They're
behind
really
the
good at
curtain.
that.
Thankfully, we've got a whole stack of articles here ready to unpack all the juicy details. So no more hype. Let's get real, shall we? What did Tesla actually deliver? What's got everyone buzzing?
Well, the big deal here, besides the spectacle, is that Tesla's stepping into a whole new arena. We're talking robotaxis, think Waymo, think Cruise. These guys have been clocking those driverless miles for a while now. This was Tesla trying to show they're a contender.
Yeah, they even had those cyber cabs, the driverless ones, actually driving folks around. Can you imagine? At the Warner Bros. Lot, no less. Talk about a test drive, huh?
Right. But it's important to remember, this is their first real swing at a truly driverless car. No safety driver, completely autonomous. They're playing catch-up, and it shows how high the stakes are. I mean, even with all the bells and whistles, you know what investors did? They weren't entirely sold, let's just say that. Tesla's stock actually dipped after the event.
Oh, seriously. So much for that Tesla magic, huh? Guess investors want more than a flashy presentation. They want to see those robotaxis on the road, safely navigating the real world.
Exactly.
Okay, speaking of flashy, can we talk about those robots for a sec?
Yeah.
Seriously, they were like something out of a futuristic cocktail bar. Serving up drinks, mingling with the crowd, even challenging people to games.
But
yeah,
we know the
there's a
truth.
but on that.
There's a but.
Yeah, but we can keep going.
A big but.
We'll be back with that in a minute.
It was wild. What'd you make of all that? Some real Jetson stuff.
I mean, it was impressive, no doubt. But got to keep things in perspective. Teaching a robot to groove on stage, that's one thing. Now picture that same robot navigating the chaos of the real world. Taking orders, serving drinks, holding conversations, all on its own. That's a whole other level of complex.
So you're saying those robots weren't actually flirting with the attendees? Bummer.
Let's just say I'm a bit skeptical.
There goes my dream of a robot bartender.
Oh, see, they're suspecting already. Even the robots suspect.
Even the robots suspect the robots.
We're likely working in a very controlled setup with pre-programmed routines for the event.
Makes sense. It wouldn't be a Tesla event without a little, is this real or is this a dream? Right. Which leads us to the Cybercab's interior. What's with prioritizing Netflix over navigation?
Right. I thought that was interesting too. It raises a fascinating question. When we do have these robotaxis, what do passengers actually want? Do we crave constant reassurance, like staring at maps and data? Or do we just want to kick back, stream a movie, and trust the car's got it handled? It all comes down to trust, doesn't it?
Trust, exactly.
Oh, one comment here. I saw that the movie they offered was involving these flying cars.
Was it Ridley Scott?
Ridley Scott's
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Yeah,
Yes.
Blade Runner. Mm-hmm.
Blade Runner, right. Blade Runner 2048. Right, that was the... And so it starts with a flying car. So they're already subliminally putting in this idea of a flying car into your mind based on Ridley Scott's vision of Blade Runner.
And this whole entertainment focus makes you wonder about the elephant in the room, or I guess the elephant not in the car, the missing steering wheel. I mean, with all the recent buzz about Tesla's full self-driving and
no steering
its
wheel
record,
nope.
Where was that data? Where's the proof that this tech is ready for prime time?
Yeah, that was a pretty noticeable omission. Musk really had a golden opportunity.
I love
here. He
their
could have addressed those
skepticism.
concerns directly, put some minds at ease. Investors, regulators, everyone's watching. It was a swing and a miss on that front.
Yeah, huge missed opportunity.
Wow.
But before we write this whole thing off as smoke and mirrors, they did pull out one more surprise, and this one's a doozy. The Robovan. Now, this thing is all about moving stuff.
Robovan,
Lots of it.
as Musk.
Yeah, was that?
Yeah, he just had to be funny or something. I don't know what that was.
The Robovan scene is worth watching because it has all these geeks coming out of it. It's hilarious.
Go people, you name it. We're
From their
talking
bar crawl.
Potential game changer for deliveries, public transport. The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing, would you think?
Yeah, 20 people at a time, like a van that could hold 20 people.
Yeah, a little better looking than the Cybertruck for sure.
Remember that video? The one with the Optimus robot casually doing its thing like some everyday task? Now, picture this. a whole fleet of these robovans, each one partnered up with an Optimus assistant. Loading, unloading, navigating traffic, all while we just chill. I mean, that's the future Musk keeps painting, right? Robots seamlessly integrated into our daily grind. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot to process. So where do we even go from here? Robots mixing cocktails, driverless cars that double as entertainment centers, cargo hauling robovans. Tesla definitely knows how to put on a show. But is this a glimpse into a future where robots are our buddies, our chauffeurs, our colleagues? Or was this just another expertly crafted hype fest? What do you think?
Look, Tesla's playbook is pretty clear. Aim for the stars, make incremental progress. Only time will tell if they can actually pull it off this time. But separating the hype from the genuine progress, that's going to be the real challenge for all of us.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one we're all going to have to grapple with. Because if Tesla's vision does become reality, well, what kind of world will that create? One with robots by our side, driverless cars as common as cabs, and a whole new way of life. It's exciting, it's daunting, and honestly, it's something worth pondering. So, what do you think, listeners? What kind of future are we driving towards? Food for thought.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah. That's...
So what was the caveat to all of this, Dr. Future?
Elon's a bit of a showman. From the other information that we'll share with you now, I think this really proves that point. A lot of people are having conversations with the robots, and it turns out that it wasn't robots that they were talking to, or AIs, or they're humans controlling the robots.
Just like they believe.
They believe that they were separate, intelligent entities, and that you were interacting with. No, they were remote
and the same
controlled.
Same with the taxis as well. I
think the autonomous taxi stuff has been around, and it was a very controlled environment. It was the back lot of Warner Brothers, so there's not like a lot of weirdness that they couldn't handle through full self-drive. So I think that's probably real. I mean, a lot of people use full self. What do you think, Bobby?
Well, have you driven in one of these new Teslas and seen what the navigation is actually like? Tesla has got an amazing amount of visual data, and it can recognize a bicyclist or somebody walking on the street or a truck, a semi that's coming across in an intersection before you get there. And Waymo and all these other headless taxi things that are driving by my house here, they use radar and LiDAR, and they're not visually oriented. And so Tesla has an amazing amount of visual data. So they're going to just leapfrog over all these other taxi companies because they're using visual data, which humans use.
Yeah. Well, they also see 360, don't they? They're getting visual data from all sides. They learn from the mistakes of previous accidents.
That's right.
The idea is that they are way smarter than any human driver.
So, Bobby, do you think that it's unfair skepticism?
And you have 5 seconds to answer because top of the hour is 30 seconds away.
Yeah, we'll bring it over the next hour. Yeah.
Okay.
So what should we ponder? Give me a good pondering question. Is this something we should worry about? Will it lead to more joy in the long run? You guys decide, because I'm excited about it, personally.
All right. We'll be back after a little short break. See you in the next hour of The Future Now. Be right back.
That's for sure. We're on. Yeah.
I hope
Thanks for waiting,
heard all
folks.
that. Gosh, it will be in
A lot of details, man. A lot of details. Who's playing engineer today?
Playing is the key word.
Yeah. Okay, so
welcome back. Hi, Bobby. Are you back?
Yeah.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we think so.
Just making sure.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't get closer to the
Regulars.
microphone if I licked it.
Okay, well, lick it next time then.
Yeah.
I was asking Bobby if our skepticism regarding the capabilities of the self-driving taxis, if we should leave that skepticism behind. I think that it came with realizing that the robots were not autonomous and realizing that they were being controlled remotely by humans.
I have a perspective. Let me speak to that before Bobby, because I think people forget, because most people who register their opinions are not engineers, and they're not busy trying to solve these problems. They're just out there being armchair quarterbacks and criticizing. And if you look at the approach of all of the car companies over the last 10, 20 years to try and improve assisted driving, you can see how complex the issues are. And the progress that is being made is growing exponentially, but it's still a vast chasm between trusting the humans who have their driver's license versus trusting the machines who are still learning to drive. That said, there is all kinds of evidence that because the very architecture of machine learning is such that it keeps getting smarter and smarter and making fewer and fewer mistakes over time. And it has a track record of not making the same mistakes that humans make. It makes rare mistakes that have not been experienced before. And the more that we increase the data that is going into the autonomous driving, the safer it will become over time. And that cannot be said of humans, because humans are always starting at no knowledge and developing their one personal experience through their one personal input. And therefore, the idea that autonomous driving, like we should be skeptical about it, is almost
not about
missing
that.
the point.
Yeah.
Because the point is that the future very much leans in favor of the safer scenario being one that is assisted by the machines, rather than the safer scenario being more of the same of humans doing what they're doing now. At this moment in time,
Machine
you can
good.
be skeptical.
Yeah,
that
no, I
it's
wasn't
better.
skeptical about the technology. I was skeptical about Elon Musk's presentation and his decision to not let people know, informed that these also were being assisted by people in the moment, that it wasn't fully...
Well, it's just a little P.T. Barnum, you know? I mean,
What
I
goes
expect
on in
that
the
from
media
him.
right now
I don't
is
hold it
any
against him.
excuse to bash
Yeah.
Elon Musk is a must go to, because the whole tier of media of people that want to latch onto his star power and get a little of their own by being negative.
But you're a
is-
fangirl, in all fairness.
Yeah.
You're
That's
an
true,
Elon
but
Musk fangirl.
I just hear distortions.
Fangirl number
And
one.
I really
She didn't defend
object
him to be something
to
wrong.
distortions. Because we know, we've been reporting for years on how excited it is to have those little autonomous robots that will go to a conference for a person. And those are literally video broadcasters where a person is on the other end controlling the robot. So that's not really new.
Teleoperation.
It's teleoperation.
It is actually going to be teleoperation, that how a lot of it's going to work initially anyway, even to the moon. It takes about a second and a half to get a teleoperation. So there'll be people on the Earth working with the AIs on the moon together. It won't just be autonomous.
And to
It will
just
be
jump on
human
board
intelligence
as if
as in a part of the
Elon is a
equation.
big fake because he's a showman and he didn't tell people this is what was going.
That
is
wasn't
so
the-
Well,
irrelevant.
we spoke
It's so
to
irrelevant.
our AI co-hosts. It's not irrelevant because our AI co-hosts talk about Tesla stock dipping, and this is a potential reason why is because
there's a lot of people
are
that are-
aware.
yeah, there are a lot of
But
people
you
that are
know
concerned about
why
it.
else the stock dips?
A lot of people think like you.
Because about 20% of it is owned by people who actively counter invest to keep
All right, to short the stock.
They short the
Like
stock.
Bill Gates is famous for that.
Yeah, for the
So
AIs
listen,
to
you know,
be
we still
jumping
didn't,
on this.
we didn't give Bobby a chance to talk
All right,
about
so
this for a minute.
anyway,
think
I
that
just
was-
get so
you had to
tired of
inject-
ignorant
So-
bashing.
Oh,
I
okay.
really
well,
no one's bashing. No one's bashing. It was a question, not bashing.
Won't dare bash.
I
even-
think the
even
whole,
your-
the
Oh my
whole
God.
jumping on the idea that these robots
it's okay,
were
son.
piloted
Sorry.
is itself bashing. It's distorting the magic of the event.
They distorted the event. Like, you can show the potential, but it's not like an honest showing. It's not bashing. It's just like saying what it is.
Yeah, but there's got to be a way of telling the truth
I think the
and being
future is
funny
cool
as well. Being-
Like the potential, the future, absolutely
right.
cool. But
That's
yeah.
the vision. The main point was to get that vision across.
Right.
How you do it is little smoke and mirrors.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's what.
But he could have said that too, and
He
everyone
could've.
would accept that.
He could. Yeah, it could
Yeah.
be like, this is like Disneyland. This is audio animatronics.
Yeah,
you know,
this is where we're at. This is what
He
we're working
could've.
on. Yeah,
He
all of
could've.
this will soon be fully autonomous. Yeah.
Soon this won't be a real person behind.
I mean, look how far they've come, right? From actually putting someone in a suit until now to actually having these prototypes of robots. So yeah,
And that's
no,
the
I'm
point,
not
is that
bashing
it's
it. I'm just
miracle.
saying
It's a miracle no matter what.
you're a big fan of informed consent. You of all people.
Not only that, I'm also informed about the state of this technology and the way that the AIs are being trained and learning from imitating humans, and the way that that is part of the unfolding of this, and to turn the actual knowledge of how the language of figure works with the AIs to make these robots become more autonomous, and then to turn that into a negative, like, oh, there's a human on the other end teaching this thing, is stupid. That's how it sounds to me. It sounds stupid. Like people
well,
just
that's reductive, and
they turn a feature into a bug. They turn a feature into a bug. That's the problem, and it's ignorant.
Well, that's the whole critic mindset, though. That's how it works in this society.
Yeah, I mean, criticism isn't stupid. It's what leads to good discourse.
No, it's ignorant, is what I'm saying.
Okay,
It's
well, you
ignorant
could
to
say
not
that,
see it,
but
because he literally alluded to the fact that these robots will be learning from humans how to behave. And we've done many articles over the years of how these robots are fascinating because this algorithm has been developed where they can imitate humans and learn from that. And there's a gap between the people who are reporting on this event and the fact that this is how these robots work, and they're acting like there's something missing. And I just see it as ill-informed. No, but we're still acting like that's not part of the landscape.
I just think that some critics don't think that way, and they think that he should have told us when he's playing with a little bit of a sleight of hand. Do you really care that he'll undo that, or do you think it was more important that the vision itself was the main focus?
Yeah, I think we're talking about a principle.
I think the biggest problem with this is that it takes away from the vision to actually have to criticize him over something he didn't tell us.
I have to start the phone line, so.
Okay.
We'll give it a minute. You're going to hear the phone line start.
Call in and settle this debate.
I think you have to look at it like the Wizard of Oz. You have to look at the straw man.
Oh.
And
I played the straw man, by the way, in Burning Man, Wizard of Oz.
Oh, you did?
Emerald City, 2000, 2001.
Not intentionally, sorry. I was trying to turn off my computer because it makes a noise. Okay.
All these robots, and like all his cars and his Robotaxi and the Robo-van, all these things, they can learn within a minute. It's several minutes.
Very fast. Yeah.
Very fast. In other words, you can do a data dump on a brand new vehicle, and all of a sudden it has all this intelligence to do autopilot and detect things that, and it happens very fast.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle. I wish my car could do that.
So we're entering the land of Oz.
Yeah, it's where you take the fiction out of science fiction.
Yeah. And all what needs to be done is somebody just telling you, hey, it's already happened. It's already there. You are brilliant already, but you just have to recognize it. And so we're walking into that land of Oz right now. And some people just can't believe it. But I think the future is here, especially on this show.
Yeah. And surrounded by other things that are more fearful and chaotic.
I'm very optimistic. I think if you just ride in one of these cars or taxis or whatever, it will change your idea about what's coming down the pike here and what to expect.
Do you think Elon was cheating by doing? Do you think he should have told us that the robots were teleoperated?
I think if you listen to what he said and you know how it works, he did.
Yeah.
So
okay, he just didn't say it overtly. He said it.
Yeah, he didn't say there's somebody on the other end telling this robot what to do. He's saying that these robots will be learning from us how to behave. Okay. And that's how it works.
There was another piece on robots this week that really got my attention, and it was about a 3-armed robot. A 3-armed robot, German robot. It was a conductor of an orchestra. 3-armed robot conductor. Made his debut in the city of Dresden, and he directed music composed especially to complement the capabilities of the machine. It had 3 arm structures, reminiscent of Star Wars, lightsabers. He conducted musicians from the Dresden Sinfoniker Orchestra in 2 performances over the weekend. And the robot was trained to recognize beat time and indicate dynamics like a orchestra conductor does, with the different arms able to move independently of each other. This ability came into its own in the performance of what they call Semiconductor's Masterpiece. Semiconductors.
Almost made
Masterpiece.
you sneeze.
Almost. Oh, boy, I tell you. As a work by composer and pianist Andreas Gundlach, commissioned by the Dresden Sinfoniker. Three-armed robot. Do you want to hear a minute of that? See what it sounds like?
Yeah.
It was able to use the three arms to guide the three sections of the orchestra separately. All right, this is the robot.
The Dresden Symphony Orchestra presented an innovative world premiere on Saturday. Instead of a flesh and bone individual conducting the performance, 3 robotic arms guided the musicians as they played a bespoke piece titled Robot Symphony.
Wir wollen keinen Dirigenten ersetzen. Ich glaube nämlich daran, dass ein Mensch das auf jeden Fall immer besser machen kann. Die Probenarbeit, die Mimik. Wenn man jetzt zum Beispiel, nehmen wir mal an, in Beethoven spielen würde, das braucht man mit so einem Roboter nicht. Das
You won't need a robot to do that. But if you have a piece written now, in today's time, that capitalizes on the robot. So new symphony productions should use the robots, not the old ones.
Dann macht es Sinn. Das gibt es auf der ganzen Welt nicht.
The East German Musical Institution celebrated its 25-year anniversary by looking into the future. The Dresden Symphony Orchestra is known for pushing boundaries, which this time even challenged its musicians.
Was ganz anderes. Es ist halt auch ohne Gnade, ne? Also es wartet auf niemand.
It's without mercy. It pulls the music.
Attendees of the
fast.
debut performance lauded the innovation, with others stating the piece, riddled with multiple time signatures, sounded like it came from a single source.
All right, there you go. It's like from Euro News.
Yeah. You really have to watch the video because it's not what you think. It's not like one robot with 3 arms. No, it's actually 3 separate arms that are separated about 5 feet apart. And one arm is pointed at one section of the orchestra and a second at another and a third at another section separately. And so it's like you have the orchestrator, this machine that is actually one mind, but it has 3 arms and it's directing toward 3 different sections of the orchestra at once, simultaneously.
What did you think? Do you like the performance? Do you think it has? You think it has promise for the future of conducting?
Well, when I was in high school, I was in an orchestra, and so the conductor really doesn't have the mind to split up and talk to you directly. Where here you can have the director actually pointing at you and saying, this is what you got to play, and not being distracted by the rest of the orchestra that the conductor has to think about and pointing at them.
Well, I just want to say this experiment by this orchestra has actually got 3 robot arms, and each of the robot arms is conducting a subsection of the orchestra who has their music in a different time rhythm than the other 3 sections. And the way that the musicians described this experience is they said that it was very machine-like and that the conductors did not wait for anyone, that they were
I wasn't tuning into the musicians
musicians to stay in time with their music, and they were playing 3 different pieces that weren't necessarily easily synced with each other, but because the machines were handling the syncing of the 3 pieces, the musicians had to jump on board with the machine. And they said they literally called it a robotic composition, a robot symphony, and they said they would never use this for something that had been composed by a human, say like a Beethoven piece, that it wouldn't work because the expressions of the composer are very important for the orchestra to interpret and things like that. And so this really was an artistic machine art experiment. And the
more than a
musicians
mainstream thing.
experienced it as the machine doing machine music, not as a composer taking over a composer's job.
I think the improvement would be to figure out a way in which you have a human composer working with the robots to do an even better performance, rather than substituting one for the other.
I think you could easily do it with the new AI that's in Siri, that each one of these performers actually have their own cell phone, and it's looking at them, and all that data is going to the conductor with the 3 arms.
Oh, yes, so you have the feedback loop.
Yeah, you got the feedback loop. Right now, they're void of the feedback loop.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's what's missing, because a conductor does tune into to her people.
Yes.
They're playing, right? And see how they're doing and compensates or enhances based on what he sees. That's what makes a good conductor, I think, his ability to interact with his symphony. So and more enhanced connectivity between the conductor and the players, or the instruments, would be great. The instruments themselves could do MIDI connection so that the actual performances of each person would be considered by the AI conductor. Interesting.
Don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain.
Well, in so many ways, because that's what Richard just said. He said he was a little disappointed to find out that there was a man behind the curtain in Elon's performance.
Oh, thank you. See? Somebody agrees.
Yeah. Because it is, let's face it is more powerful.
I don't know. See, when Elon said, hey, we started out with a man in a robot suit, and now we're teaching robots to imitate humans, I immediately pictured the AI software figure that is used to train robots to imitate humans. I did not feel this was like an overt misdirection.
But it was still necessary for your inference in order to gather that not everybody would be able to infer that. So I think it's always best to just sort of let people know.
Did he have to, when they were saying that they could turn on the software for the autonomous driving in the cars, but they needed the driver to be sitting there, they still claimed that they were autonomous cars. It's like, to the person who's inventing them, what's familiar and what's not is very different than to the people who are experiencing it and just learning for the first time.
So disclose it.
I didn't think he was aware that it was a big gaffe. I don't think it's that obvious.
No, and you got to put it in perspective. Richard did a great job on that too. He said, consider his accomplishments this week. Launching the Clipper to to Europa on Falcon Heavy just happened too. That's the European mission just went off. More Starlink launches, rescuing astronauts from the space station stuck up there.
And I am so sick of whining journalists who have no story of their own trying to denounce this,
it's just
very epic person.
And never mind the StarShip launch.
Well, I mean, isn't that what journalists do? They report on what's happening.
Well, they can do it, but I just listen to the tone of the journalist, and it's like, am I ever going to read this nobody again? No, because their only story is taking down someone who's in their glory.
I think you get used to it.
Ground.news. I have no stake in it, but I recently learned about ground.news, where you can actually, it's not perfect, but you can see how biased all of your sources are from right to left, whether it's center.
You know what? I don't need ground.news to do that for me, because I can look at a journalist and I can read what they say, and I can say, oh, they just said 10 things to be derogatory about this great accomplishment. Oh, they've got an axe to grind.
Do you have opinions on all of them?
I'm just saying that for everyone out there who doesn't know about ground.news, you might not need it. Wise Mrs. Future. However,
some might like an opinion.
I like having ground.news as a resource. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. I'm just saying I have my own brain to use for that purpose, and I can see through skillful propaganda and manipulation, and also just basic envious negativity as a writing style.
How much is tone of voice count in all this?
Well, I mean, wording, of course, matters. This is what, Mrs. Future is saying, that the way that something is presented, even in a headline, matters. And most of us can discern, when we're looking at something that is hugely biased. But a lot of us don't, because a lot of us are getting our news from the same sources. So a website like ground.news takes that out. You can look at every side that you want to. You can look at how the right, like more conservative news is presenting versus a liberal news source for the same exact subject.
Yeah.
How their headlines change, how their wording is throughout the body of the work, and that matters.
And you learn to recognize biases.
Right.
So would you say
and your own bias, right? Like, I keep going to MSNBC or I keep going to Fox News. And
right. What did you notice about your behaviors?
I am definitely more liberally inclined when I'm reading my news sources. I miss just journalism, where we're just dealing with facts, just reporting, not any insertion of attempting to sway the reader either way. Just present the facts. It seems to be difficult all around for people to do that today. So I understand exactly what Mrs. Future's gripe is with all of this, because I have the same thing. Like, I can't watch MSNBC or read a lot of the sources because it's so left-leaning,
really
and
bothers you.
likewise, there are other, on the right, like, I just can't, I don't know, what's that one, like Western journalism or whatever. I don't know. They're like,
Epoch
the
Times.
Washington Examiner or Newsmax. Is that, like,
Newsmax,
yeah, I can't get into that stuff. When we're talking about mainstream, like Wall Street Journal versus Politico or something like that, or The Hill. That's a good one. There are some very middle of the road sources where.
Well, here's one that came up today. I mean, usually we don't delve into this, but there was a crossover in the news with politics and Elon Musk of all people. That really bothered my brother, bothered my son here. It has to do with...
It has to do with the little California nepotism.
Yeah. Well,
and also my pet peeve
Politico.
about...
It has to do with Politico
I
article.
really think that the Coastal Commission is...
Well, let's get into the story first.
Is bad politics.
The title is California Officials Cite Elon Musk's Politics in Rejecting SpaceX Launches from Vandenberg. State officials cited Musk's antics in rejecting SpaceX's plan to launch more rockets off the Central Coast. And they say it's Elon Musk's tweets about the presidential election and spreading falsehoods about Hurricane Helene are endangering his ability to launch rockets off of California's Central Coast. Now, that could be the bias of Politico in that statement.
Or it could be the bias of the California Coastal Commission, who's attributing those issues to him
say
and
that,
then using it
right.
as an excuse to take a commercial action.
Well, to say that he's an all-around bad actor and that we wouldn't want that person. Yeah, and I get that. I agree with you that that's a little bit of a stretch. This isn't somebody. Yeah, they're two completely. Kind
it's
of different.
Misrepresenting how it's basically conflating all of the tweets on Twitter with something that Elon said, which is misinformed and also misinformation, and then using that to make a political decision about awarding a commercial contract.
But this is Commissioner Gretchen Newsom.
Yeah, appointee of our dear Governor Gavin Newsom, who somehow survived his recall, but managed to appoint his relative to be the
we don't know.
voice on
we
the
don't know the
Coastal
relationship
Commission.
for sure.
Are they related?
I don't know. But Gretchen, we should check that out.
I'm going to look
Gretchen
right now.
Newsom.
Let's see.
Quote, she says, Elon Musk is hopping about the country, spewing and tweeting political falsehoods and attacking FEMA while claiming his desire to help the hurricane victims with free Starlink access to the internet, says Commissioner Gretchen Newsom.
Who probably doesn't have firsthand knowledge of that because she didn't hear the interview where several times he was asked directly about what happened, and he said, the governors have been very cooperative, and once we spoke with Buttigieg, the misunderstandings about allocating the helicopters and distributing the Starlinks was taken care of, and the fact that he's offering them free service till the end of the year, but they have to buy the unit, but they're buying it at half off, is now construed as like underhanded sales tactics, taking advantage of people in an emergency. And, none of these things are real. People are trying to show up and help in situations and do it in ways that are helpful. And then somebody who just wants to be a stick in the mud is casting aspersions.
The agency's commissioners, appointed by the governor and legislative leaders, voted 6-4 to reject the Air Force's plan over concerns that all SpaceX launches would be considered military activity, shielding the company from having to acquire its own permits, even if military payloads aren't being carried. Quote, I do believe that the Space Force has failed to establish that SpaceX is a part of the federal government, part of our defense, says Commissioner Dana Bochco, B-O-C-H-C-O.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By the way, I don't believe they are related, just so you know. This is not a case of nepotism where...
All right.
Well, it'll be too obvious.
Easy mistake to make. So the key element here is that spokesperson for the Coastal Commission said that the Vandenberg launches to this point have been approved because the military is operating for the federal government, and the fact that they are employing SpaceX rockets for those 6 launches of the year does not confer the right to ask for more launches to SpaceX, the subcontractor. That's the issue. And Elon is asking to launch how many?
I believe he wants more than 50 a year. He's 36 a year.
36 a year.
Well, 50, yeah, it says up to 50 rockets a year. And the reason they rejected it is because Space Force was claiming that they're a part of the federal government operation. So they failed to prove that, and that's why it was not approved, because they are not a part of the Air Force. Right, the federal government.
Okay, so...
But Richard points out that actually, in the long run, they didn't deny SpaceX of anything. There's just a lot of noise.
Yeah, it sounds like they're just saying SpaceX, apply for it directly. Don't go through Space Force.
Well, what it means is that SpaceX has to do a lot more. They have to do all their own permits.
Yeah, right.
Which, that's reasonable.
Sure.
Yeah.
But they have to do all their own permits. They can't just ride on.
Yeah, they should do their own permits.
To then turn this article saying that the reason it's denied is because of what's happening on Twitter, that is the distortion.
The Politico lead. Now, what's Politico leaning towards in your understanding, Gabs?
Politico is pretty middle of the road. I would say maybe slightly left, but probably not. Probably pretty centrist.
I guess if they were leaning left, then making a big deal about Musk's politics in the headline would suggest that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's some Santa Cruz voice love, and we'll be back after that.
What local issues are important to you? The Pajaro Valley Chamber of Commerce and Santa Cruz Voice invite you to a candidates forum for Watsonville City Council and Santa Cruz County Supervisor District 2 on Monday, October 21st at 6 p.m. in the Watsonville Civic Plaza, located at 275 Main Street. Moderator Michael Olson will ask candidates where they stand on important issues. For those unable to attend in person, the forum will be aired right here on Santa Cruz Voice.
Deer fence, wood fence, livestock chain link, vinyl, iron fence, Cypress Coast fence, Cypress Coast fence.
My name is Stephen Digger. My wife and I live in Royal Oak. When my wife and I were looking to find someone to build our fence, Cypress Coast fence was highly recommended. It was amazing. These folks are masters at their craft. They're super professional. They came in when they said they were going to come in. They finished when they said they were going to finish. The fence is perfect for our needs, everything they said it was going to be, and then some.
Give us a call for your no-obligation consultation at 831-783-1500 or at cypresscoastfence.com.
We don't just build fences, we make good neighbors.
Deer fence, wood fence, livestock chain link, vinyl, iron fence, Cypress Coast fence, Cypress Coast fence.
Treehouse dispenses not only the finest cannabis products, but information to those who want to know how to use cannabis for maximum benefit. Hello, I'm Jenna. If you would like to know how best to use cannabis, ask your friends and neighbors at Treehouse Dispensary, 3651 Soquel Drive. If you're 21 plus with a valid ID, no appointment is necessary and the information is free. Order online at ourtreehouse.io and pick up at our drive-thru. See you soon.
Football at the Back Nine is back. We have Sunday ticket to enjoy every game, every Sunday. Breakfast sandwich and beverage specials too. Enjoy happy hour twice on Sunday from 10 to 12 and 3 to 6. $1 wings all day Sunday and during Monday and Thursday night games as well. With the easiest restaurant to get to in the county, right off Pasatiempo Drive with lots of parking. Time to eat and watch football. See you at the 9.
One of our listeners sent in a piece called Trump Goes to Peru on an Ayahuasca Journey. Like if
this is a great
Trump
YouTube.
had discovered ayahuasca, this is what it might sound like.
Expertman told me to go to Peru and do ayahuasca with his shaman. I thought it'd help with the election, give me that edge. But what happened next, I wasn't ready.
He looks in the mirror and sees like a devil, dissolves into money, comes out of the money pit, turns into a cesspool, is pulling himself out, surrounded by ghosts.
I saw it all, greed, lies, my father's lack of love, my mother's coldness. Demons, dark entities, Everything I'd buried came rushing out. It was brutal and life-changing. So I left politics to heal myself. I gave away most of my possessions, and I went to India, meditated with the gurus, met all the mystics, studied all the metaphysical schools, seeking the truth. I did every therapy, somatic experiencing, breathwork, and parts work. You wouldn't believe the things I tried. I purged everything I thought made me great. Slowly, the suffering started to fade. I started sharing what I'd learned. I created something bigger, holding space for others, an intentional community, and I led with love, guiding people to reconnect with their higher
AI
selves.
fingers.
They say I'm the greatest shaman now. Nobody does it better. Maybe they're right. It's a new kind of winning, one where I lead others to peace.
New kind of winning.
New kind of winning.
Yes.
Gotta love it, man. Giving the AIs a chance to redeem Donald Trump.
And they create great visuals for that whole
very
piece.
funny.
You know, it's
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely AI at its finest. It's fun to watch.
yeah. And we know it's fake news, but we wish it wasn't.
Yeah, I know. What would happen?
What would
That's
happen?
like
Makes
asking,
you
like,
wonder,
what would
right?
happen if back in the day, if we had dosed acid, all of our politicians and legislators and leaders. And
Well, and what if they actually are all post-dosing and this is just how they act?
Post-dose. Yeah.
Some saying that China is getting ready for a whole revolution right now because they've been so repressed for so long of their people that they might have some kind of cultural.
Well, and that it's too small of a funnel to have just one tiny Politburo controlling that many people and that much diversity.
Yeah.
And
something.
Yeah. And I think there are two different worlds. If you're, most people are living in villages, and these more economically disadvantaged people certainly outnumber the advantaged people. And I think it's two different worlds, though. I think if you have a lot of money in China, you sort of live a much different lifestyle. Maybe more like Dubai, where if you're a tourist and you're in a hotel, you can drink alcohol. You have money, you can drink. But if you're just like a regular...
The Middle East kind of...
Yeah, like,
wealth.
UAE, it's illegal to drink. So I think it matters. I think money matters, as usual.
Yeah.
That's right.
Until it doesn't.
Well, yeah, I know. Everyone thinks they can take it with them.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, one more space news. This also happened this week, and it was a Falcon Heavy, another Musk special. NASA finally launched their space mission to Jupiter, moon, Europa. Now, what's interesting here is that this is specifically to look for life on Europa, because it looks like life might exist there. It looks like a frozen world that has more water on it than the Earth. The problem is it's surrounded by a crust of ice that's a mile thick. And how do you study something like that? Well, they have geysers that are spewing water from underneath, and analysis of those geysers are part of it. And they're hoping that this Clipper, it's a 10-year mission, that they'll see whether or not the conditions for life as we know it could exist there.
And this is a NASA mission. This isn't a SpaceX.
No, this isn't SpaceX launched it, though.
SpaceX launched it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Interesting.
Yes.
Falcon 9 booster.
That's pretty funny.
The Falcon Heavy. The Falcon Heavy is what was launched
on the NASA
for this
facility
mission.
on the East Coast of Florida. And it was delayed because of Milton, of course. But
Hurricane.
But they had to get it up there. It has a very tight schedule in order to catch the gravity assist that it needs around Mars in order to get there.
Yeah, did you already summarize Richard's statement of just the accomplishments of this week of SpaceX?
Yeah.
Pretty amazing, Richard. Thank you for...
Yeah, but you can go over it again if you want.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
That's been remarkable. It's been a good week.
Clipper to Europa on the Falcon Heavy. More Starlink launches, rescuing astronauts from the space station after their ship was not adequate to do it, and the StarShip 5 launch, of course, and catching this super heavy booster out of midair in the chopstick arms of Mechazilla.
Mechazilla.
I mean, that's 1 week. This is a guy who has not been wasting his time in his life.
No, and this spacecraft, by the way, carries 9 science instruments, including a special radar that can see below the ice, and some incredible cameras that will map virtually the entire moon in great detail. They hope to get past the bands of radiation. That's the big challenge. Jupiter has radiation bands that require special protection for its instruments. Thick aluminum zinc walls. Think thick
So
aluminum.
we can't
you
even
would think
imagine.
that these geysers,
Geysers, yeah, right. That's how it's looking
these
at.
geysers, they are spewing up the water that's a mile below a mile deep of this ice. And you would think that there should be sensors looking for life that's spewing out of those geysers.
Yeah, they look like microorganisms. Should be able to
Yes.
have some signature. Or maybe
you would think so.
Yeah. They were all thinking, well, how do you study a liquid water when it's under a mile thick ice? One theory that was floated was that you put a nuclear reactor on overload, or hot, so it gets super hot and it can
You
melt.
saying they advocating to nuke Jupiter?
No, it's Jupiter's moon, Io. But how do you get through a mile thick ice and get a whole ship down there? That's hard, right?
And
But if you have an extra
irradiate
heat,
the water, is that
that's
contaminated a bit? Or what?
Yeah, that's why they decided not to do that. Because so you melt down till you get to the water and you drop in and you radiate all the life and kill it just as you're discovering it. That would not be good. That would not be good for humanity.
Oh, no life here. Let's keep going. Next planet.
By the way, there is a science fiction movie about this, the Europa Report. It's been on Netflix for a while, and it's all about an mission going to Europa and them discovering life there. Who knows what's really there, but this was a very fun rendition of what might be there. I won't do a spoiler to telling you what kind of life they find, but it's really interesting kind of life.
You sound like you know.
I watched the movie. What can I say?
All right. Well, you got a whole bunch more headlines. I think you're going to race through them, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the things that Apple unveiled this week, Apple was also in the news, that they come out with their new iPad Mini, Apple Intelligence Ready, and with an A17 Pro chip. And that's a huge performance boost for it. Twice as fast, a neural engine than previous generations. The iPad Mini is ready to go. It's Apple Pencil Pro. It's got a 12-megapixel back camera. $499 for the 128 gigabytes, twice the storage of the previous generation. So that's looking like pretty
you
cool.
almost had to get one of those when you thought your old iPad had died.
The old iPad. That's the.
But you
the hot
saved
new,
it.
Neural ready.
Saved your old iPad.
Yeah.
What about the wings on poles?
Well, yeah, there's wings on poles. It's a new type of wind power that looks very different. It's a design that replaces those large blades that you see, those 82-foot long poles and 33-foot huge thing. It's different. It's a completely different design where it looks like it's a lot safer. It looks more
like you can ship it on a truck. You can carry it in a tractor.
Yeah, it's like a little track, like a rim.
It's not outrageously huge and unwieldy like the ones that we see on Tehachapi.
That's right. How would you describe it, Mrs. Future? What would you say?
Well, it's really a new concept in connecting wind power and electric generation. It's using a cable instead of a cement mount for the blades of the wind. I think it looks really interesting. My concern, it's very different than the windmills that you're used to because they look like a big pinwheel that's going up 100 feet in the air and would be really dangerous if an earthquake toppled it on you or something, right?
Right.
So this is basically kind of like a big merry-go-rounder. There's a cable that's going around, that's being rotated around horizontally above the ground, and the blades are hanging from this cable collecting the wind, and that wind power is being converted to electricity in a whole new way. And I think it looks very elegant. And the way that you scale up the amount of power is you make the cable longer. The components are a much more wieldable size. So
pretty cool.
Think it's
Heirloom
got
technology.
A lot
it's
of,
called Heirloom. AIRLOOM.
A lot of positive points.
Heirloom
features.
Energy.
All right, so check that out on drfutureshow.com links.
It's called Wings on Pole. And guess who's behind that?
Everybody's favorite, Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, who's got a new series on Netflix. Also, there was this new electronic skin
that's your favorite.
That's developed.
All right, Data and the Borg, they got nothing on these guys.
It's a new generation of electronics. It looks like skin, feels like skin, has the ability of sensing, signaling processing.
Dr. Zenon Bao.
And it's similar to human skin. It's stretchy, biodegradable, self-healable, flexible. And there are a lot of uses for this in medical, like prosthetics for limbs, so that patients can regain their sense of touch.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that's going to interface with the Neuralinks.
But because it's sensitive to your skin, it's right there, and it can pick up information about your health. It can detect, for example, neurodegenerative diseases early. You can treat them.
But why it's in the news right now, the Stanford Daily did an interview with their Professor Zielenbaugh, I think, is a researcher. And the concept that is new about it is they were trying to figure out how to design it so that it would be self-repairing, even though it's micro components and many layers.
How self-healable. Self-repairing is the same concept.
Self-healing. And the design, they're coming up with a new design so that the actual chemistry of the materials used is inherently self-healing and is inclined to reject things that will fail before they are part of the fabric. And it's an approach that's very noteworthy in research that's still pretty far away.
They're developing prototypes, and eSkin is going to be evolving over many years, and we'll get more and more sensitive to detecting various things that might be going on in your system.
And they may start using it in replacing burn skin or cancerous skin or things like that.
Smart skin.
Smart
I guess
skin,
you might call it.
So a new
Pretty
prosthetic for skin.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So I want to make sure I mention that, and we have the interview with the inventor of that on our site as well. Okay, so we're in the final minutes here. Gabs, thanks for showing up here.
Yeah, thanks, Gabs.
You know, being part of our show today. Really great to have you.
I love having your comments on our
our
bandwidth here.
Even though you're not a total Elon fan, it's okay.
It's all right. I make up for both of us.
Yeah, you sure do. You make up for everybody.
Hey, he needs a lot of help. He's a big target.
Well, there are reasons why he's a big target. If we're able to separate, it's like Bill Cosby. Can we separate Bill Cosby's crimes from his comedy? Can we just look at it and compartmentalize?
I think the jury's out on the crimes. I think that I listen direct to the source of what he says, and I find him to be.
Do we want to end this on Bill?
Person.
I mean, we've got 29 seconds.
No, I don't want to end this on Elon Musk.
Okay,
yeah,
here's some music, people.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that, shall we?
How much time do we have? A minute?
20 seconds.
How much?
20 seconds.
20 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 15.
Love you, Santa Cruz, and wherever you're listening.
Yeah, thanks
for being
good
to be here.
Yeah, glad you're all here.
Mrs.
Thank you, Bobby.
Future. Bobby, love you, man.
And everybody who's tuning in, and Richard and Greg, and have a great future now, everybody.
Bye,
love you. Okay.
All right.
And that's another one.
Woohoo!